a reason old mechanical diesel trucks are suddenly looking less like museum pieces and more like insurance policies. It is not nostalgia alone. It is not just chrome, stacks, and stories from the old-timers. It is the simple fact that a truck that can be diagnosed with ears, eyes, fuel pressure, and a wrench starts to feel very attractive when modern rigs can be stopped cold by one sensor, one emissions fault, or one electrical gremlin buried behind a dashboard. Today, we are counting down 10 trucks from the old-school era that explain why drivers, small fleets, and owner-operators are looking back at mechanical diesel power with fresh respect. Subscribe to Smart Buy Motors, because this channel is all about the trucks people ignore, the machines people miss, and the choices that actually make sense when the payment, the downtime, and the repair bill are all coming out of your pocket. Number 10. The GMC Astro 95. The Astro is the kind of cabover that proves mechanical diesel loyalty is not always about comfort. Sometimes it is about pure honesty. This truck came from an era when cabovers ruled tight yards, city docks, and long stretches of American highway before conventional tractors took over everything. Underneath that square, upright cab, you could find hardworking diesel choices like Detroit II Strokus, Cummins Power, and other old-school setups that were loud, direct, and not trying to hide what they were doing. The Astro was not a luxury apartment on wheels. It was compact, tough, and simple in the way older drivers still understand instantly. Tilt the cab, look at the engine, trace the problem, fix the problem, and get moving. That is exactly the attraction. Nobody is saying an old Astro is the easiest truck to live in today, because it is not. But as a symbol of why mechanical diesels still matter, it belongs here. It reminds people that trucks used to be built around access, serviceability, and function first. When a trucker talks about wanting something that does not need a laptop before it will even explain what is wrong, this is the kind of machine they are picturing. Number 9. The International Transstar I Co. 470. If the GMC Astro is old-school honesty, the Transstar II is old-school toughness with a little more highway swagger. International built these cabovers for a world where freight had to move, docks were tight, and overall length regulations made cabovers serious business. The Transstar II could be spec with respected diesel power from the big names of the era, and the key appeal today is the same appeal it had back then. It was mechanical, understandable, and built to work hard without layers of electronics standing between the driver and the engine. The cabover layout is not for everyone. Modern drivers who are used to big sleepers and stretched conventionals might climb into one and feel like they have gone back in time, because they have. But that is part of the point. A truck like this represents a period when durability was not hidden inside software updates. You felt the engine, heard the engine, and knew when it was happy or angry. For collectors and old-school operators, the Transstar II is not just a vintage truck. It is a reminder that mechanical diesels made drivers more connected to the machine. And that connection is one of the reasons these older trucks still have such a strong following. Number 8. The Ford LTL 9000. Now we move from cabover character to long hood working class muscle. The Ford LTL 9000 never had the same cult status as a Peterbilt 379 or a Kenworth W900, but that is exactly why it deserves a spot. It was a serious heavy-duty truck, especially when properly spec'd, and it carried that classic recipe truckers still respect: a big hood, a strong frame, recognizable diesel options, and a layout that mechanics did not hate. In the right configuration, these trucks could run with big Cummins or Caterpillar power, and the best versions had the kind of straightforward mechanical feel that made them valuable long after the showroom shine disappeared. What makes the LTL interesting today is that it is less obvious. Everybody talks about Pete and Kenworth, but the Ford was a real worker. It had that old highway tractor personality where you could tell it was made before trucks became rolling computer networks. For small operators, that matters. A truck does not need to be the most famous icon on the road to earn respect. Sometimes it just needs to start, pull, idle clean enough, and come apart without turning every repair into a financial ambush. That is the LTL 9000's argument. Number 7. The Mack CH613. The CH613 brings a different kind of mechanical diesel respect to the list, because Mack people are their own tribe. These trucks were not always the prettiest, and they were not always the flashiest, but they built a reputation around getting the job done in a way that felt tough, direct, and very Mack. Early CH models, especially those with simpler Mack diesel setups, hit a sweet spot for fleets and owner-operators who wanted something more modern than an old R model or Superliner, but still not overly complicated compared with later emissions-era trucks. The CH613 had real-world usability. It could run regional work, vocational duty, freight lanes, and rougher jobs where fragile equipment does not last long. What truckers like about old mechanical or simple pre-emissions Mack power is not just the engine itself, it is the entire attitude around it. These trucks were built for people who expected to repair things, maintain things, and keep equipment alive instead of throwing it away. The CH613 also reminds us that the return to mechanical diesels is not only about long-nosed show trucks, it is about work trucks too. The kind that come home dirty, get serviced, and go right back out. Number 6. The Freightliner FLD120. The FLD120 is one of the most practical reasons truckers still talk about older diesel trucks with a straight face. It was everywhere, and that matters. A truck can be beautiful, rare, and legendary, but if parts are impossible and nobody knows how to work on it, romance gets expensive fast. The FLD was different. It became one of those common American highway tractors that fleets bought, drivers learned, and mechanics saw constantly. Depending on the year and spec, you could find these trucks with respected diesel choices from Detroit, Cummins, and Caterpillar, including setups from the simpler pre-emissions world that many drivers still prefer. The magic of the FLD is not that it is the most glamorous truck on this countdown. It is that it makes the old mechanical diesel argument feel realistic. You can still imagine one earning money. You can still imagine a small operator keeping one alive without needing a dealership every time the dash lights up. It has room, part support, familiarity, and enough old-school character to feel connected to the road. The FLD120 is the kind of truck that says the mechanical diesel comeback is not just about nostalgia, it is also about math. Number 5. The Western Star 4900. Western Star has always had a slightly different flavor. It is not trying to be the default choice. It is the truck for people who like heavy metal, simple strength, and a little bit of independence in their equipment. The 4900 earns its place because it represents the owner-operator side of the mechanical diesel conversation. Properly spec'd, older Western Stars could be tough, serviceable, and built with a level of ruggedness that made them popular in demanding work. Logging, heavy haul, regional work, long-distance freight, rough roads, the 4900 could be configured for jobs that punish weak trucks. That is why the mechanical diesel mindset fits it so well. Drivers who like these trucks often care less about having the newest gadget, and more about whether the engine can be reached, whether the wiring is manageable, and whether the truck feels like it was built to be repaired instead of replaced. A good older 4900 with the right powertrain has that serious, no-nonsense feel. It may not have the same universal fame as a Peterbilt long hood, but to people who know, a Western Star with old-school diesel power is not a backup plan. It is a very deliberate choice. Number 4. The Kenworth T800. The T800 might be one of the best examples of a truck that never needed to be pretty to become respected. Yes, some people love the way it looks. Others think it looks like a W900 that joined the military and stopped caring about compliments. But that blunt sloped hood design is exactly part of its genius. The T800 was built for visibility, strength, and work. Heavy haul, dump, construction, logging, oil field, regional freight, this truck found its way into jobs where weak equipment gets exposed quickly. When paired with older mechanical or simpler pre-emissions diesel engines, the T800 becomes one of the strongest arguments for going back. It gives you serious capability without the same level of drama that can come with newer, more complicated trucks. Drivers like that, it feels planted. Mechanics like that, it is familiar. Fleets liked that it could be ordered for almost any brutal task. And owner-operators like that an older one can still feel like a professional tool instead of a fragile antique. The T800 proves that mechanical diesel appreciation is not only about highway romance. Sometimes it is about a truck that can drag heavy weight through ugly conditions and not act offended. Number 3. The Kenworth W900. Now we are into the machines that make truckers stare across a fuel island. The Kenworth W900 is not just a truck, it is one of the great American road shapes. Long hood, proud stance, big grille, big presence, and when it is backed by old-school diesel power, It becomes exactly the kind of machine people mean when they say trucks used to have soul. The W900 has lasted so long because the basic formula is almost impossible to replace. It gives drivers that classic conventional layout, strong road manners, room for serious power, and the kind of identity that newer aerodynamic trucks often struggle to match. In mechanical diesel form, the appeal gets even stronger. A Caterpillar 3406, a big Cummins, an older Detroit, whatever the exact spec, the point is the same. The driver feels connected to the engine instead of separated from it by layers of sensors and software. Is an old W900 always the cheapest truck to buy? No, the market knows what these are. But that actually proves the point. Demand stays strong because drivers understand the value of a truck that can be maintained, rebuilt, personalized, and kept alive. The W900 is where mechanical diesel practicality and American truck mythology meet in the same lane. Number 2. The Peterbilt 359. If the W900 is a legend, the Peterbilt 359 is almost folklore. This is the truck people picture when they think of old-school diesel power in its purest form. The 359 came from an era of polished aluminum, long hoods, exposed personality, and engines that sounded like work being done the hard way. It could be found with classic mechanical diesel power from Caterpillar, Cummins, and Detroit, and that is a huge part of why these trucks still matter. The 359 is not here because it is the easiest daily driver in modern trucking. It is not. It is old, valuable, and in many cases too collectible to treat like an ordinary fleet tractor. But as the emotional center of the mechanical diesel comeback, it is nearly unbeatable. Everything about it feels direct. The steering, the noise, the vibration, the view down the hood, the way the engine talks through the cab. Modern trucks are quieter, smoother, safer, and more efficient in many ways, but they often make the driver feel like an operator of a system. A 359 makes the driver feel like part of the machine. That is why truckers still respect it. It represents the moment before trucking became too filtered, too computerized, and too dependent on systems most drivers cannot fix on the shoulder. Number 1. The Peterbilt 379. The Peterbilt 379 takes the top spot because it is the truck that makes the mechanical diesel comeback feel the most believable in the real world. The 359 may be the purist's dream, but the 379 is the bridge between old-school legend and practical owner-operator reality. It kept the long hood Peterbilt identity, the classic stance, and the serious highway presence, but it arrived in an era where comfort, parts availability, and day-to-day usability became much easier to live with. Depending on year and spec, these trucks could be found with some of the most respected diesel power ever put into American highway tractors, including Caterpillar and Cummins setups that drivers still chase hard today. And that is the key. A well-kept 379 with the right older diesel is not just cool. It can be understandable, rebuildable, and valuable in a way that many newer trucks struggle to match after the warranty is gone. Truckers are not going back to mechanical diesel engines because they hate progress. They are going back because downtime is expensive, complexity is exhausting, and independence still matters. The 379 captures all of that. It looks right, works hard, holds value, and gives the driver a kind of mechanical confidence that newer trucks often fail to deliver. That is the real story behind this comeback. Mechanical diesels are not perfect, and old trucks are not magic. They still need maintenance, money, patience, and the right owner. But when a truck can be understood, repaired, rebuilt, and trusted without turning every problem into a dealership appointment, people pay attention. New trucks may be smarter, but smart does not always mean simpler, cheaper, or easier to keep moving. And in trucking, moving is everything. Subscribe to Smart Buy Motors for more honest truck stories, overlooked machines, and the kind of equipment that proves old school sometimes still makes the most sense.